Welcome to the Worksop College podcast. This is stemming from our ReFRAME initiative, which focuses on the school's values and inclusion.
Over the course of the next year, we're going to be covering a variety of topics with a range of different people. Topics such as mental health, the future, college life and sport.
This is episode 1, and today we'll be talking about mental health. I'm here with
Akeem
and
Tom.
First question would be, what is your definition of mental health? Let's start with Akeem.
Mental health can be defined as like a state of mind of someone, not only just like your disorders, but maybe your emotional, how good you are, if you're feeling sad or happy, can vary.
Tom?
Yeah, similar to Akeem, I'd say it's the state of which your mind that you're in. So sort of having positive attitudes to things, not restricting yourself socially, just putting yourself about.
Tom, I'm going to direct this one at you. Amongst young people, mental health is quite a big topic, but it's one that's not widely spoken about. So how would you go about that issue?
Well, I think with a lot of issues within society, I think the stigma gets broken down when it's spoken about. I think if you look through history at other issues, going back to civil rights, if you wanted, in America in the 1960s, the way that issue was broken down was through conversations being about it. It was through marches then. But for example, for mental health, it's important that you have coffee mornings, you talk to your mates, things like that. It's important that you almost normalise the issue through conversation.
So getting the support when you need it.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like specialist support either. I think all of us here can say that we've got good enough mates to help us through things when we need them there.
Yeah.
Doesn't always have to be someone with a title or a role.
Yeah, and I think at Worksop that's something that we strive for, especially within houses. Obviously, myself in Mason, we're a very united house and everyone supports each other. Would you say that's the same in your house in Talbot?
Yeah, I think you'll find that a lot of the culture within the houses here at Worksop, you'll find that a lot of them will actually offer that support to everyone equally, like across the board.
I'd also say, specialist support, there's stuff like mind.org. They do stuff like the Ice Bucket Challenge to raise awareness, and even the NHS, they provide support. Within school, we've got the Willow Hub or Welfare Hub, and you can go there, drop in whenever if you ever have any problems regarding your mental health. I'd like to ask a question to you, Akeem. When you think of mental health, you kind of separate the body and mind, but do you not think that they go together in some form of way?
Yeah, they do go together. Because if you're for example, you're a football player, and you have an injury, you can't play, and you want to chase that occupation, but you can't play, that will make you depressed. So you're both weak physically, and then that also affects your mental health because you have been pushed down for some months. So if you can't play again because of some very avoidable injuries, I say it goes together.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We have some people here who've had bad injuries, broken bones, they've been out of sport. I think providing support for people like that, checking up on them constantly, can always help get them through this challenge. Sonny?
Yeah, I think sport's massive in school. And Akeem, I know how much you love your sport, especially football. Have you ever felt any sort of pressure when playing sport?
Not really. I mean, I just do what I love, isn't it?
That's it. That's the main thing. Do you think that sport helps you tackle any issues, any problems you're facing?
Yeah, to be fair, it does get my mind off things. For example, if I'm feeling a bit sad or some days, I go to Mark Sports Hall to play basketball. So that gets my mind off things for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving off of that, onto the academic side of things. Academic pressure, Tom. You're year 12, you're coming up to have some form of mocks in year 12. Do you feel academic pressure, and is there such thing as healthy exam stress?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. I think whether you're speaking about academics or sport, pressure's not necessarily a bad thing. It's ultimately being put under pressure in a way almost makes you perform in a way. It's what motivates you. It's actually what gets you to sometimes sit down and work. And I think we can all say that too. I think, however, there comes a point where sometimes the pressure can seem sort of insurmountable. It's like you've got for example, an exam on one day and then you've got, for example, like homework the next day, it just builds up over time. So it's almost, that pressure is not necessarily a bad thing, but you've got to have the ability to be able to cope with it and then also to manage it in a way where you're still being able to actively partake in lots of other parts of your life.
Sunny, I'd like to know your take on that because we're both doing A-levels as well as you, Akeem. Where do you draw the line for the limit of stress?
I would say the second you start to feel like it's too much, it's become too much. I think you have to feel comfortable in what you're doing. Obviously, exams and results are important. They're gonna set up your life really, but you've got to put yourself first at some point. Obviously, your well-being comes first. The second you start to feel under pressure, the second you start to feel it gets too much, it's probably the point where you need to stop, have a think, see if you can seek any help if you really need it, if it's got to that point. But yeah, I'd say don't let it get you down. Don't let it get to the point where it's starting to get you down.
Yeah. Back to Tom's point, I think some form of stress does promote productivity, but if it starts to affect your normal everyday life, such as eating habits, anything like that, that's when you need to start seeking out help.
So obviously November, we're getting towards the end of it now, but November's Men's Mental Health Month. Statistics show that men find it a lot harder to talk about their problems. Is there anything either of you two would like to say on that?
I think like men can find it hard to talk about it, like if they have certain problems because they're more likely to be laughed about. Like they'll be like, "Yo, man up, what are you stressing out for? It's not that deep." Meanwhile, it's that deep, and that's what causes a lot of people to actually commit suicide. And you think that they were happy all along, but they're actually dying from the inside.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Akeem. I think the way people phrase what they're saying can really get to people, and especially like you said, the words "man up." It just discourages people to start talking. Encourages men to hide their feelings, hide them away. Tom, you got anything?
Yeah, I'd say sort of with like laddish culture in a way. It's often anything from like sport, drinking and stuff like that. There's such a like culture, especially with like your mates. You go further with them, you say things that you probably shouldn't do.
Definitely.
And I think the issue is with mental health, it's that switched from being everything's a joke, everything's banter to actually it's quite a serious topic. And I'd say the reason why there's probably, especially I can say from like it being in England, it's when you have those conversations with people, it's very hard to have everyone sort of be serious about it. People often want to crack a joke about it, and a time and a place, but I'd say it's more of a predominant issue amongst men than amongst women, especially with that.
Would you say that sometimes the jokey nature of it could be worth something though? Obviously, it tries to break the stigma, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've already spoken about like sports and how that impacts mental health, but I think it's almost, you need to be a well-rounded person to have good mental health and promote good mental health. So having the ability to have a laugh, having the ability to have a joke is important. It's the same as being able to, put your work to one side and go take something off your mind, go play sport for an hour.
Akeem, as a foreign student, have you found there's been a bit of a change in the stigma around mental health when you've come to England?
I wouldn't say I have found the change, but definitely there's some things that's obviously affected me since I've gotten here, but it's not something that I've openly discussed or anything, and I've never done the same so back home. So it's not particularly because I've not gone for that change, but if I will, I don't think though. I think it will be way better.
Do you think if you did feel any pressure or mental health problems from moving here, do you think you'd be well supported?
Personally, I'm not the type of person to be open with situations like that, but I'm sure if I do, because I've seen different programs around school, so I'm sure if I do, then certainly I'll be well supported.
Yeah, and I think I want to say with that too, it's often the debate's phrased around that if you give people enough support, eventually they will talk. And a support should always be offered. However, with some people, it's more of a personal issue. It's a matter of confidence, being able to tell people how they feel, and I know people struggle with that. So I think the question shouldn't always be focused on if we speak about it enough, then eventually everyone will talk. It's almost quite a individual issue for a lot of people that also needs to be taken into account.
What do you reckon could be done to increase the confidence of people in order for them to speak out?
I think they should be sure, like they should make the people aware that if they speak out, they won't be laughed about. Because I feel most people get scared to say some certain things because they fear of them getting laughed about, using it to make jest of them and calling it banter and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. But I would like to say that I don't think if you did speak out about it, that would be the reaction you'd get from many people. I'd always encourage people to speak out, and from what I know about the school, I don't think you'd be ridiculed for speaking about your own mental health, and that goes for anywhere really. I'd like to think in today's society, everyone would be supportive and understand.
There's been a recent rise in more groups that may put down mental health ideas. So what do you think could be done in school to kind of promote people to speak out?
With a lot of the time with bigotry, with putting down other people, it often stems from ignorance. If we're talking about sort of red-pilled content, looking at like manosphere and things like that, we need to actually look at why are young men turning to that sort of content. And I think that's probably a wider, more systemic issue, but you could see easily that it's from, a lack of community spaces for young people to actually hang around and talk to people about. There's a lack of support, there's a lack of funding. So I think ultimately it's not an issue of why they turn into that, we need to fix it. It's almost a more systemic issue of why that content is there in the first place. Why does it seem attractive to them, is what I would say about that.
I'm here with Hildy and Maya.
Maya, so you're on the girls' football scholarship at
Yeah.
Worksop. Would you say you've ever felt any pressure around your sport?
Yeah, like competitions and stuff like that, cup games, that can be like nerve-wracking sometimes.
And how have you dealt with that pressure?
I mean, it's more just like talking to your peers because you're all probably feeling the same. If you all talk to each other rather than just dealing with it yourself, that can help.
Is there anything on social media that you find kind of promotes a way to help overcoming pressure around sports?
Well, big teams have their fan bases and that can help, but for individuals, there could be more. There's not as much.
So you think a few more resources on social media and online for certain sports people,
Yeah.
especially young ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of help out there for people who are like pushing forward in sport and they're getting exposed to like social media.
What do you reckon we could do as a school to help kind of provide support?
And probably just preparing people for it.
And obviously sport can be an escape for many people. Would you say you've ever had that experience?
Yeah, when you've got like a lot of schoolwork and stuff like that, doing sport, like doing something you enjoy, any hobby really, just takes your mind off it, stops the stress.
Now, thinking about the future, Hildy, is there something that worries you when you think about what you're going to do, either in university or just as a job as a whole?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about jobs being replaceable by AI and stuff like that, so not only are people at our age not really knowing what they want to do, they also have to worry about AI being a factor in that. And additionally, like, not many people want to go to uni and have to be faced with all the debt that comes with that, so then they've got to look on the apprenticeship side of things. But if you're doing that, you sort of need to know what you want to do already to go into it, rather than finding a course at university that can open up different pathways. You sort of have to stick to one of them.
Do you think there's enough support out there for young people?
Yeah, within school, we have like a lecture series helping people find out what job they want to do. We've got Mr. Jordan, who actually takes their own initiative, checks up on people with their UCAS forms, stuff like that. And there's always stuff out there like university open days. I personally recommend you should go to as many as you want, especially if you don't know which course you want to do. Think about what subjects you do, what you like, and there's going to be always something for you. And if it comes down to it and you find you're not getting help from school, there's online tutor systems, or even parents can always help out.
Right, got a bit of a game for you two. So we're going to play Guess the Lyric. Alright, so I've got 5 well-known songs and then a tiebreaker. I'm going to play you a part of the song. All you've got to do is sing the next line with our trusty glue stick microphone here. All the artists of the songs have been open about their mental health in some way. Oh wow, you don't know Billie Eilish.
I don't know the words.
Birds of a feather, we should stick together. How do you not know that?
Okay, I would have
I
said
did
that.
actually know that.
Yeah, I
Why
would
did you pick it up and say it then?
if I had to guess, I would have just said that because it's a chorus.
Yeah, they're pretty obvious to be fair. You should.
I don't have to sing it.
Yeah.
When I set fire to the rain.
Yes. 1-0 Maya. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There you go.
Oh, I think I know this one.
What's the lyric?
I was a fighter.
Do you know what? I'll give it. I was a liar. I gave it to the fire, but
Oh.
How do you have no
2-0 Maya. 2-0 Maya.
get any in?
Got some catching up to do. Oh, it's a race.
I hear your heart beat to the beat of the drum.
Follow Maya. That's 3-0. Okay. It's one of my favourite songs. No, not Bruce Springsteen fans. I get up in the evening and I ain't got nothing to say. Good song. Anyway.
I think artists like this that have large social media platforms kind of promoting confidence around mental health is just a great way for younger people to speak out about it. It gives them an opportunity to kind of envelop it in their everyday life, you know, especially if you're a fan of any of these singers or any people who promote mental health.
Definitely. And I think personally, music's a great way to escape, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's another way to take your mind off things. So. To finish, would you give any advice to younger people?
I think it's just important to always speak to people because even if you think that you're not, most of the time there is somebody who's going through the same thing as you are or feeling the same way that you are.
I think let yourself have some time to yourself, doing hobbies that you enjoy and not just what you think other people enjoy as well.
Thank you very much, guys.
I'm here with
Harry Backhouse.
Tom Gaines.
Gracie Donaghy.
We'll start with you, Tom. Avid hockey player, yeah? First team at Worksop College.
Yep.
Have you had any experiences in your sport that's made you doubt yourself, made you get down, anything like that?
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, I had a big injury. I broke my ankle. Not playing hockey, but it definitely set me back. I was out for 4 months. It was a hard time.
Did that have any effect on your confidence, on your mental health?
Yeah, massively. Like during the time, because sports it's my life pretty much. And as soon as I couldn't do it anymore, just sat in my room all day, didn't speak to anyone. I fell into I just became a zombie pretty much.
And what sort of things did you find yourself doing to cope with it and helping to deal with what you were going through?
That's the thing, I didn't do anything, and then it just kept weight, it was just a massive weight on me. Eventually a couple of my friends noticed and they were like, you need to change because it's not good how you are right now.
What do you recommend should be done for people going through the same situation that you went through?
I think there's got to be, people need to keep an eye on everyone a bit more. If they are a big sports person like I am, you've got to make sure that they're alright, even if it's not through an injury, because if people are having if they're in bad form, like I know from experience as well, you just don't want to be there because you're just always stressed about your next game, your last game.
Moving on to academics, I'd like to ask you, do you feel academic pressure currently?
At the moment in year 12, I think it's definitely ramped up over the term. To combat the pressure, I'd like to take a lot of time out with my friends, and I like to take days off just to reset and organise myself.
Both of you have mentioned support from friends there.
Yeah.
In two very different scenarios. Would you say that's a big thing in helping to cope with mental health?
Yeah, I think your friends notice before you notice that it's gotten bad.
Definitely.
I think that support is what people need, rather than, I think sometimes it's hard to ask for help, and asking your friends and them checking if you're alright regularly definitely makes a difference.
Thinking about your future, I know it's a little bit early, but what do you think that many people feel when you look towards university life, like pressure-wise for mental health?
I know quite a lot of my friends at the moment, they're struggling with their A-levels. They've obviously chose because they like them and they're really good at them. It's kind of hard to see the path to your career at this point. I think that is quite a driving factor of poor mental health, because it is a scary thing, not knowing what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Some of us, I think, know where we're going to go, and that's really good, but I think there's added pressure on that of performing well. I think there's positives and negatives.
Do you think some of that pressure comes from social media? You've been through year 11, you've been through the exam period, and you see a lot online, especially on TikTok, Instagram, those sort of apps, of people either showing you their past results, showing you how they revise, showing you how much they revise. Does that put any pressure on young people?
I think it works in two ways. While one side of it is definitely negative, like coming out of your exam and seeing the post questions, what did you get, and you got it wrong, I think that definitely sets you up for a bit of anxiety for your next exam. But also I think it can be used as motivation, seeing people doing well and what you want to aspire to achieve. It's a really good drive into the Eurovision.
Do you have any advice for people feeling this exam pressure or pressure about the future?
Talk to people, talk to your friends. I know it's a big thing that we've said. I think the sooner you ask for help, the better it can be, because sometimes we make a big problem out of something that really isn't.
Talking to people has been one of the main sort of solutions people have said today.
Yeah.
How would you go about encouraging people to talk?
I think at school we do quite a good job of raising awareness and saying that this is a safe space and that's what we want to create. So just reinforcing this welcoming and nurturing environment, I think, would really make people want to speak out more.
Yeah, and on that, a few weeks ago we had an assembly about Movember. So you two, what's your sort of stance on that? I know you take part most years, Tom, and you've got one growing now, which is coming along nicely. What does Movember mean to you?
It's just, I feel like it's the one time of the year, especially these days, where people actually focus on how men are feeling and the problems men face like every day, which are usually overlooked. I think it gives an opportunity for men who've been all year just weighed down by this just pressure. It makes people talk. Yeah, I know it can help.
Have any of you ever hesitated to ask for help or support?
Personally, I haven't reached that level of poor mental health. I think my friends do a really good job of checking up on me, and I hope I do the same. So, no.
Tom, obviously you spoke about your hockey injury. Has there been any other times?
Yeah, I had a few problems with my family about my sister not being quite ill for a few years, and even though I was young, now that I look back on it, I wasn't in the right mental state, and I definitely should have spoke about it.
Harry, have you ever hesitated to speak out?
Yeah, so last September my mate died, and I kind of locked myself in, if you know what I mean. So like, I didn't really speak to anyone, and I didn't really think it was that bad, and I just didn't really want to speak to anyone or really reach out for help. I thought I could deal with it on my own, and I thought that I could, and I thought I did, but I look back on it, it's more like my mates from outside of school, they were the ones that kind of picked up on it and were like the ones to say that I'm alright. It brought me back to my feet because obviously it was during GCSE year. So then that kind of helped me push through my GCSEs, and yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And what advice would you give to people going through a similar situation?
Don't not speak to anyone, and don't lock yourself in, because that makes it worse. You know what I mean? So it makes more pressure go up, and then eventually it'll all just come out and burst out and might make you do wrong decisions, you know.
Obviously, it's a very brave thing to come on something like this and tell that story, but it is so important that people talk. So how would you encourage others to do what you've done and speak about your experiences?
I would, well, mainly just go to your friends, because for me, I found it harder to go speak to my mum, because my dad, because my mum and dad didn't really know him. Whereas all my mates, he was like a big part of our friend group, and like we always, you know, met up, went out. So like they understand the same pain that we're going through, so we all can huddle together and keep going strong.
I think that's a really important point that Harry's picked up on, is people going through the same situation stick together and they understand people.
Definitely. And that comes from friendships, and it's really good to know that yourself's got such a nice, united friend group. Would you say the same relationships can be found in school?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'd say the house system provides, you know, there's loads of people, especially if you're a full boarder, like we had one on here earlier. If you're ever having trouble, you know, feeling homesick, there are many other full boarders that you can talk to, or just people around the house. You know, you have your housemasters, and you have around school well-being people designated just for you to go to talk to.
Is there any advice you'd like to give to young people on mental health?
Speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about sort of online resources? Do you know of any websites, any links that people can use if they ever feel down?
I'm pretty sure if you ring 999 and say I've got a problem, they will definitely help. Childline is a big one, especially for younger children that are going through it. They're always there to help.
Are there any more you know of?
Mind.org, as I mentioned earlier, as well as, you know, NHS is a big one. Always go into Google, whatever, search up. There's lots of different helplines out there.